Hey everybody, this episode is going to be about the Midwest Gaming Classic, which I went to on Saturday. I planned on doing a huge video. I planned on taking tons of pictures and recording video and having this giant elaborate video on the show. It didn't really work out that way. It didn't take nearly as many pictures as I had thought, so this will probably be a bit shorter. What I'm going to do is take a look at all the photos that I took and kind of talk about them and share that with you. So the first thing I want to talk about is the Ben Heck experience. Ben Heck is another Wisconsinite. About 2000, I think he created his first Atari 2600 portable. Now he has his own show on Revision 3 and he's pretty popular. He had his own room at the event called the Ben Heck Experience. If you're not familiar with him, he made a pinball machine from scratch, did all the coding, built the boards, did everything himself. It's the Bill Paxton pinball, which is free to play. Awesome, very cool. I've got just one photo here that kind of shows all the detail that he put into the board, but it's very cool. The thing that he's working on now, he is working on a second pinball machine. I don't really remember what the theme to this is, but he's building it bigger and better. And I also took a picture here of his portable workbench, which is this wooden contraption that kind of folds into a neat little box but spreads out and you have a full work area. So the Ben Heck Experience is a pretty cool booth. The next thing I'll talk about is the Underdog Room. I believe this is sponsored by a sponsor or a club, but I didn't take pictures of that. But this is the room with a lot of failed consoles. The first thing I got to play was the Apple Pippin, which I've actually never played before, but it's actually pretty cool. I don't know what game was playing. It was a Doom, Alien vs. Predator type first-person shooter. It was actually a lot of fun. I also found the controller to be pretty good with a great D-pad, great feel on the buttons, felt good in the hand. Unfortunately, it's stupid expensive and I'll probably never own one, but very cool. I'll talk about this system a lot in this video, the Atari Jaguar. Here is Protector, which is a Defender-style clone that was released, I believe, at the end or after the Jaguar had already died. Didn't particularly care for this game, but it was cool to play and I spent some time with it. Also in that room was what we can see here are 6 iMacs of different flavors. On the opposite side of that was another 6 Macs, and I believe they were all linked together running Quake. So there's lots and lots of people there fragging it out in Quake. One of the museum rooms was actually poorly lit. As you can see here, it's dark inside except for this rope light. So all the cool stuff in there I didn't get to take a lot of pictures of. But what I have here is a Vectrex, and it was just playing the standard built-in game, which is some type of Asteroids clone. But I played the hell out of this thing. I probably sat there for about 30 minutes and played, and all I have is one crappy photo to show for it. Very cool system. And one that I hope to get. The screen is a vector screen, it's not a raster screen, so everything on there is ridiculously sharp and sounds great. Gorgeous machine, I can't wait to get one. Also in the dark room was an original Odyssey signed by Ralph Baer. I've not seen one of these in person, I don't think, and I definitely haven't seen one signed by Ralph Baer himself. I didn't stick around, but supposedly they were going to do a Skype call with. They were going to do a Skype call with Ralph Baer, so people could ask him questions and he would talk a little bit. I don't know if that actually happened, but that's another cool thing about the event as well. Is throughout the 2 days they'll have like an hour and a half with different people of interest. They had Eugene Jarvis, Michael Katz, and a few other people that I don't remember. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to see any of those. I find it interesting enough, but not enough to sit there for a couple hours and listen to them. Next up was another museum room, this one well lit so I could get some decent pictures. This is an NEC PC Effects. It kind of looks like a PC tower. Last year they had a shmup playing, which I rather enjoyed. This year they had some fighting game. Didn't particularly care for it. But this machine does have some awesome FMV, very good quality. I believe it's better than VCD quality. It's pretty sweet. The controllers were nice, the graphics were fine. Just not my cup of tea. Next up is the Super Graphics. I believe this only had like 6 games, came out in 90 or 91. I also hadn't seen one of these in person before. It is a system I'd like to own someday in the market or vendor area, which is essentially like the size of a school gymnasium, and it is just packed with vendors selling old gaming stuff, and that was awesome. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So that was cool to see. The Nuon, which is usually there every year, so I assume it's the same museum that does it. Last year they had Tempest 3000. This year they had Ballistic, which was kind of a Zuma style game, puzzle game. I had a lot of fun with that. Really cool game. Wish they had Merlin Racing or something more interesting that I'd like to play and see, but the Nuon's cool. If I ever find one for cheap, I'll definitely pick one up. Here we have a TV with a built-in Nintendo, which I actually had no idea existed. Here's a rather dark photo, but you can kind of see on the front of the TV here, there's a couple controller ports and a cartridge slot for the NES. Here is a close-up picture with the game actually in the system, or in the TV. And here's a picture of the front with that flap open. This particular unit, this door that swings down so you can put in NES games, was broke. So that's my hand holding up the door. Here's a more modern system. This is the Panasonic Gamecube. This was a Japanese-only Gamecube release. It actually plays DVDs and it looks awesome. Look at that thing. Chrome front, plays DVDs, blue LEDs, screen on the top. Absolutely gorgeous machine. Next up is some pictures from Jag Fest. The Midwest Gaming Classic started out as Jag Fest, Atari Jaguar Festival, back in 2001, so this was the 10th year anniversary of the first show, and this was the Jag Fest booth. 2 tables, buckets full of games, CDs and everything. Here's one table that has a couple of Jaguars on it, running Tempest 2000 and Wolfenstein 3D. Here is a picture of the full booth. It's really just a hallway. So we have that closed table. The far table had 3 more Jags and TVs. I actually spent some time revisiting Raiden on the Jaguar, and good fun. Right now, if you listen to my podcast, you know I'm participating in the High Score Challenge over at Atari Age, and I happen to find a little piece of paper here with my name on it for the current game, which is Zool 2. I thought that was cool. Another huge aspect, a big room filled with pinball machines. I spent a lot of time in here just staring at the artwork. My girlfriend loved it as well. Just some beautiful pinball machines out there. This room was stupid hot. I imagine all the light bulbs and electronics put off a lot of heat, but this is imagine by the end of Sunday this was a stinky room. Here's a picture of behind 2 rows of pinball machines, and there's like 5 rows of these things, so you can just imagine how much stuff was in there. Here's kind of the best shot I could get of the entire room here. You can just see just full of people, full of pinball machines all the way to the back wall. And unfortunately, the last thing I want to talk about is the vendor area, which is the area I spent the most time in digging through just stacks and stacks of old games, new games, systems, everything. The first picture I took is somebody, I believe, just essentially unloaded their entire 32X collection. I've never seen Spider-Man Web of Fire out in the wild before. Here it is, overpriced at about $220. Very sad to see that sticker for $220 on that game, because that's going to be a mess to get off. Perhaps they could have used something else. But there it is. I wasn't going to pay $220 for it. It ain't worth it. but still cool to spot that out in the wild. And the other thing I took a picture of was a Neo Geo 4-slot arcade cabinet. Beautiful machine. I'd love to own I'd love to own an SNK MVS system, just not my budget for now. I was gonna buy, when I first knew I was gonna go to this show, I had my heart set on a Nintendo Virtual Boy, but I ended up not buying one. There's tons of stuff I wanted to buy, but my financial situation right now doesn't really allow me to splurge too much. I wish I had gotten more photos because this place was nerd heaven. I did end up buying just 3 games. The first game I bought was Ristar for $4, which is another interesting thing about the marketplace. 10 feet down from this was another vendor selling it for $20. But it's a game I've passed up before. I want to play it, and I can't wait to give this one a go. The next thing I picked up for $5 was Batman Returns on the Sega CD. This was only $5, so super cheap. I really wanted to try the racing stages because they actually put the Sega CD hardware. They actually put the Sega CD hardware to good use with lots and lots of scaling. So this is one I've kind of wanted, haven't actively sought out, but for $5, can't go wrong. The final game that I got was Android Assault on the Sega CD. Now this is a game that I've wanted for a really long time. It's a shmup for the Sega CD. It's supposed to be fantastic, and for $30 it's better than paying $30 on eBay and having to pay for shipping. So this review should be within a month or so. I hope to get through it. Unfortunately, I didn't pay close enough attention to the condition of the disc. It is scratched bad, but you can get that fixed for $3 at your local used store. But some of the metallic layer, the film where all the data pits are, there's a few holes when you hold it up to the light, and the game is giving me a little bit of problems. Hopefully I can make it through the game because that sucked to pay $30 for nothing. One other thing. On my way home, I stopped at a Pawn America. I don't know how big these stores are, but I've never been to one. And they're always advertising on TV, so I picked up a used Super Nintendo controller for $4.99. This is an official controller, not a knockoff. Everything about it is correct, and I've been needing to get a second one for a while, so that was nice to pick up for $5. There were a lot of things that I wanted to buy at the show. Thunder Force 2 on the Genesis, and other things that I can't even remember right now. A paddle controller for the Atari 2600, the Virtual Boy, which I passed up, and lots of other things. If you live in the Midwest, Ohio, Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, or have the means to get to Milwaukee from locations further away, I would definitely recommend going. My video here doesn't even scratch the surface of what's there. And you should definitely go, even if you just want to spend the $20 and go browse the marketplace for 5 hours. You really can't go wrong. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and a year from now we'll do another one, hopefully better.